The next story. The wolf finally arrives. One night, the wife calls with slurred speech, telling the operator that her husband is in the corner of the kitchen in a chair with a shotgun. In the background, you can hear the man verbally harassing the woman on the phone, telling her that she's a bitch, cunt, and she ruined his life. The wife just keeps telling him to shut up, and the operator that he pushed her into a wall earlier which left a hole in the drywall. She wants him to spend the night in jail to sleep it off because now he's carrying the shotgun around, and she's worried he'll fuck things up in the neighbourhood. Quote unquote. There is a sound of struggle, and then she hangs up. She calls back a few minutes later, and the man is yelling so loudly that the woman is hard to understand. He still has the shotgun and says he's done with his life. She says he went down to the basement. She gives the operator her information and repeats, he just needs to sleep this off. 10 minutes go by, and the woman is still on the phone with the operator, talking about her husband's drinking habits, threats of suicide all the time, and her bruises throughout the years from him. The operator tells the woman to check on the husband. She agrees, but with an attitude that shows she could be rolling her eyes. Like, it's the same thing every other night. And then a gunshot is heard. The woman makes a strange, "Oh," noise as she walks down the steps. Incoherent words. The woman starts yelling, "Why? Why? Why? Why?" And the phone drops to the ground. The operator asks, "What has happened?" No answer. All you can hear is the woman yelling at someone. She then picks up the phone and tells the operator that he shot himself in the head and blood is everywhere. The operator tells her to calm down and to let the officers in. The husband shot himself in the temple, shattering his entire skull. The next story. Man comes home to a blood-curdling scene. I'm a dispatcher for an agency in the Midwest. In my first 6 months of dispatching, I had taken every kind of call from car wrecks to stabbings and shootings to childbirth. The call that sticks out in my mind, though, is one from a guy named Brady. I answer with the standard, 911, where is your emergency? He just keeps repeating, I don't know what to do. Oh, God, I don't know what to do. At this point, I know this is going to be unpleasant. I get him calmed down, and he tells me that he just came home from work and found his house ransacked. While checking out the house, he found his girlfriend in the bedroom, naked and tied to the bed. She had been sexually abused. My partner sends the cavalry as I give Brady some instructions. The shitty thing was that he lived way out in the country. He only had cell service outside his house. He had to leave his girlfriend alone inside to get help. I stayed on the phone until help got there, which luckily was only about 10 minutes. I'm not sure why, but that call stuck with me. I came in right at the end of my shift, and I've never bolted from that room so fast in my life. The next story. Terrified kid needs help with crazed father. I got a call from a crying child, a little boy, saying his mum and dad were fighting, and his dad said that he was going to throw the mum out of the window. I could hear a terrible fight going on in the background. Women screaming, things breaking, a man yelling. The poor kid didn't know his address. We didn't have the technology for caller ID, so we would have to use reverse telephone books. A trace would take forever. Anyway, while I'm trying to get the address, I hear a horrific scream and glass breaking. A few seconds later, the other operators in the room are getting calls about a woman lying in the courtyard who came out of a window. Very sad. Worst of all, I'm sure someone else in this apartment building must have heard this fight, but no one called for help until it was too late. Poor kid. Next story. A gutting call during Hurricane Katrina. I was a 911 operator in Mobile, AL. I'm a Brit, so I'm going to assume AL is Alabama. The day Hurricane Katrina hit the Gulf Coast, we started getting lots of calls from New Orleans and the Mississippi Gulf Coast for some reason. I guess they started routing to us after all the 911 sensors to the west of us started going down. Anyway, I got a call from a woman who said she was trapped in our house on Gordon Street between Florida and Law. I was confused at first because we have a Florida street in Mobile, and after double checking and not being able to find her address, I asked her what her city was, and she said, "I'm in New Orleans." I tried to route her to New Orleans 911 and the New Orleans Fire Department, but could not get through. She started screaming and said water was coming up into the attic where she was. I told her to find something heavy and break the attic vent out so she could get onto her roof, but the vent was too small for her to crawl through. She sat down and started crying. I told her I would stay on the line with her for as long as she wanted me to. I stayed on the line and listened as she cried, prayed, cussed, and prayed some more. A little while later, I could hear her struggling to keep her head and phone above water. Then the phone went dead. To this day, I don't know if she lived or died. I quit 911 3 months after Katrina. The next story. Woman wakes up to find her boyfriend missing. On Christmas Eve, I answered 911 for a hysterical lady who was crying so hard she couldn't breathe. I asked her what was going on, and she told me these exact words. My boyfriend and I, we were watching a movie. I fell asleep. I woke up and he wasn't there. I thought this was a little odd, so I said, "Okay, ma'am, do you know where he may have went?" She wasn't done. I found him in our closet. He hung himself with our bed sheets. I walked her through cutting him down and starting CPR. When he started making this long, raspy exhale that sounds exactly like something from a horror movie, it's the rest of his air leaving his lungs. She starts getting hysterical again, begging, "Oh my God, he's breathing. Please breathe, baby, please breathe." But I knew that's not what he was doing. Police, ambulance got there, and of course, the guy was way dead. I felt so bad for that woman. That's really the only call that has ever stuck with me. Now for the final story. Little girl helps her unconscious mother. I answered a call at 3 a.m. from a 7-year-old girl who found her mum unconscious on the sofa and not breathing. The child knew her address, and it was in the middle of nowhere. A 25-minute response at best. I had to talk to the kid through getting her mum off the sofa, one arm and one leg at a time, because she was too small to just pull her to the floor. Then, we started CPR instructions. The kid did great. There were no neighbours, and she did not know a phone number for her dad. Divorced. We ended up getting her mum breathing again, just as the ambulance pulled up. I cried like a baby when that was over. I was so relieved for that child. And that concludes 30 minutes of What a Nightmare. Real dispatchers share nightmare calls they'll never forget.